I'm not Chinese, I'm an Indian. These were the last words of 24-year-old Anjel Chakma, the Tripura student who was violently attacked by a racist mob on 9th of December this year in Uttarakhand's Dehradun. A group of intoxicated men began using caste-based slurs against him. When Chakma objected to their remarks, they turned violent and attacked him with rods and knives. After fighting for his life for 16 days at a hospital in Dehradun, the 24-year-old succumbed to his injuries on 25th of December. 21 days on and the prime accused Yagya Avasthi, a Nepali man, remains at large. This as political backlash grows over Tripura student's death. The several political leaders have in fact come forward condemning this horrible act of violence. The leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, has called the killing a horrific hate crime, even accusing the ruling BJP of normalizing hate. But Union Minister Kiren Rijiju has maintained that this is a problem of mindset and that Angel's killing cannot be viewed in isolation. But amid the political noise, what's adding insult to injury is the role played by the cops. Not only was the FIR delayed by 2 days, today the SSP Ajay Singh has blamed the family for this delay, also called the killing a heat-of-the-moment crime. This after saying there was no evidence of racial remarks in the preliminary investigation. Now, in its defense, the Uttarakhand government is providing financial assistance to the Chakma family with a check of 4.12 lakh rupees as the first installment. Question being, will this suffice? We'll tell you why it will not, because adjectives such as Nepali, Chinky, Momo, Chinese are all too familiar to Northeasterns. This as they fend for themselves far away from home, facing slurs, insults and even physical assault. Racial discrimination lurks in educational institutions they study in, local neighborhoods where they live, markets, public transport and every other imaginable place. A Nido Tanya from Arunachal Pradesh killed in Delhi, or an Anjel Chakma from Tripura brutally attacked in Dehradun. Remember these names because they are the occasional reminders of the severity of racism. Does it even jolt the conscience of this nation? Because the daily humiliation faced by every Northeastern has taught them only this: die bit by bit or learn to be silent and live with it.
9 तारीख का मामला है और उसके 24 घंटे बाद ही जो है विक्टिम के ब्रदर और उनके 3-4 साथी जो है थाने पर पहुंचे थे। जो नस्ली भावनाएं जो हम समझते हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं तभी उत्पन्न होती हैं जब हम डिफरेंस ऑफ रेस, रिलीजन या कास्ट या हम प्लेस ऑफ ओरिजिन से हम डिफरेंशिएट करते हैं अपने आप को। इस केस में ऐसा नहीं था कि जो ग्रुप था उसमें से खुद ही ट्राइबल उसमें बैकग्राउंड से थे, तो रेशियलिज्म की जो बात है वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में अभी तक नहीं आई है। तो जब इस तरह की FIR आती है वहां पर 24 घंटे बाद, तो जनरली पुलिस एक बार उसको वेरीफाई जरूर करती है। और दिया हुआ था, कोई सूचना नहीं थी थाने चौकी पर, नहीं कंट्रोल रूम में या किसी माध्यम से, तो उसको जो हमारे पास जो लीगल प्रोविजंस है उसको हमने उस तहत उसको प्रिलिमिनरी जांच में रखा। बट लीगल एक्शन जो आप कहेंगे कि जिस दिन FIR की कंप्लेंट आ गई थी, हमारे पास कंप्लेंट रिसीव हो गई थी, उसी समय से हमारा लीगल एक्शन स्टार्ट हो गया था। जो हमारा कंट्रोल रूम है उसके 112 के रिकॉर्ड्स को भी चेक किया है कि क्या किसी पब्लिक के द्वारा या किसी शॉपकीपर ने या चलते फिरते व्यक्ति ने कोई मारपीट की सूचना दी हो, तो कोई कॉल ऐसी इस इंसिडेंट को लेकर जनरेट नहीं हुई थी।
Okay, let me now introduce our esteemed panelists today. I'm joined in by Sanju Verma, who's the national spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Also joined in by Mr. Nishant Anand, who's a spokesperson for the Congress Party. Also joining me is Anjel Chakma, who's Anjel Chakma's cousin. Thank you all for joining in. Let me, in fact, quickly go across to Sanikar. In fact, Sanikar, first of all, on behalf of CNN News 18, we want to convey our condolences. We stand in solidarity. It's a moment of profound grief, very tragic and brutal for your brother and for your entire family. चाहे वो अरुणाचल के स्टूडेंट नीदो तानिया की निर्मम हत्या हो जो दिल्ली में हुई थी 2014 में, या आपके भाई की, आपका क्या कहना है इस तरह जो रेशियल किलिंग्स हो रही हैं नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न्स के खिलाफ सालों से?
मैम सी, दिस इज नॉट जस्ट द फर्स्ट टाइम। ये पहले भी हुआ था, अभी भी हो रहा है। पता नहीं फ्यूचर में होगा कि नहीं, शायद हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है। Until and unless people realize that racism is not the way to introduce someone. It's not just the Northeast, मैम, हमारा पूरा इंडिया में ही ऐसा रेसिज्म हो रहा है, चाहे वो नॉर्थ से हो, साउथ से हो, वेस्ट से हो। या ईस्ट से या नॉर्थ ईस्ट से हो। अभी जो हमारे भाई के साथ जो हुआ है, दैट इज टोटली अनफेयर। जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ हिज लुक्स उसे ऐसे चिंकी, चाइनीज, मोमो ऐसे कुछ बुलाया गया है। ऐसा नहीं है कि मैम हमारा फेस की वजह से दूसरी जगह में ऐसे, मतलब बीइंग ए पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया, हमारा भी तो कुछ मतलब आइडेंटिटी है एज एन इंडियन। हम बस दिखने में अलग हैं, इसके वजह से हमारे मैम ऐसे डिस्क्रिमिनेट होता आया है पहले से ही। अभी इन फ्यूचर तो पता नहीं।
आप दिखने में बिल्कुल अलग नहीं हैं, आप इंडियन हैं, आप बिल्कुल भारतीय हैं। मैं आपसे हाथ जोड़ के माफ़ी मांगती हूं जो आपको, आपके परिवार को, एंजल को देखना पड़ा है। आपको क्या लगता है जो कह रहे हैं कि इसमें रेसिज्म इन्वॉल्व नहीं है इस पूरे क्राइम में? पुलिस वालों ने तक ये बोला है। प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई देहरादून में, वहाँ पे भी ये कहा गया है कि ये एक रेसिस्ट एंगल के जो है प्रिज्म से नहीं देखा जा सकता है। आपको नहीं लगता कि क्योंकि रेशियल स्लर्स यूज़ हुए थे, उनको चाइनीज़ बोला गया था, ये एक रेसिज्म का क्राइम नहीं है?
मैम अगर आपको कोई चिंकी मोमो बुला रहा है, आप इसको किस तरह से लेके जाएंगे? ये तो रेसिज्म ही हुआ ना मैम। अगर आप किसी जगह पे जाते हैं, आप बीइंग ठीक है थोड़ा सा सांवले रंग के हैं, आपको कालिया बुलाया जा रहा है, वो भी तो एक डिस्क्रिमिनेशन ही हुआ। रेसिज्म नहीं हुआ बट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन तो हुआ। जस्ट बिकॉज योर आईज आर लिटिल स्मॉलर एंड यू आर फेयर इनफ, तो मैम उसके वजह से अगर आपको चिंकी मोमो बुलाया जा रहा है, आप ये रेसिज्म नहीं बोलेंगे तो क्या बोलेंगे?
सानेकर, पुलिस ने यह भी कहा है कि आप लोगों ने देरी कर दी कंप्लेंट करने में, इसीलिए एफआईआर में देरी हुई। 2 दिन उनको भी प्रोब करने में लगते, और ये गर्माहट में किया हुआ क्राइम है। इस पे आपका क्या कहना है?
मैम देखिए, एंजल का छोटा भाई जो माइकल है, वो तो एम वक्त पे था ना, उसका भी तो इंजरी हुआ है हेड पे। ये तो हम लोग बयान दे रहे हैं, बयान तो उसने दिया है। चिंकी मोमो तो ठीक है, उन लोग ने बोला है। तो अगर इसमें 2 दिन, ये भी कंप्लेंट है मैम कि 2 दिन लगे, क्योंकि तुरंत पुलिस ने भी कंप्लेंट लेने से ही इनकार कर दिया था।
ठीक है सानेकर, मेरे साथ बने रहिए। नाउ आई वांट टू ओपन दिस अप फॉर डिस्कशन एंड आई वांट टू स्टार्ट विद निशांत आनंद। निशांत, I want to quickly ask you, why is Rahul Gandhi saying that BJP is normalizing hate crime this way? Northeasterns have been targeted for decades now.
I'll start by saying injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Now, the main point is his father guarded India's border, and we could not even protect his son inside India. Now, this is not just a murder, this is a moral collapse of Indian state. Tarun Chakma, a serving BSF Jawan from Tripura, sent his 2 sons, Anjel Chakma and Michael Chakma, to Dehradun to study, trusting that Indian cities are safe for Indian children. Now, if you look at the cases in the last 11 years, we can see under the BJP government how many cases and complaints we have received. Now, instead, they were abused, harassed, and dehumanized. They were called Nepali, Chinky, Chinese, Momos again and again, and they said we are Indians. But hate does not listen. Now, BJP has to answer why the police did not take the complaint for the days. And when they protested, the attackers did not stop. We need to remember this. Anjel Chakma was stabbed repeatedly. After 17 days in the ICU, fighting for his life, Anjel died. Now, imagine this. You are walking on a street in your own country, strangers demanding proof of your Indian identity, mocking you on your face, color, and features, and then stab you to death. This is what is happening under BJP government.
Are you sure it's happening only under BJP government?
When the Indian National Congress government was there, we made sure that these crimes are not happening. We made sure that the criminals who are doing this.
I have to fact check
are
you.
not
I have
left-
to fact check you before
want to
you.
add-
No, I want to fact check you before I
You
take
should,
this
you should.
forward with
You
Sanju
should.
Verma.
Let me-
August
let me,
2012,
put
when it
last
was
one
your
point.
government in Mysuru,
Last one
Karnataka,
point.
22-year-old Tibetan stabbed over his northeastern identity. 2013 May, in Delhi, 3 from Manipur beaten to death over accidental spitting incident. January 2014, when the BJP government had not come to power, Lajpat Nagar in Delhi, 20-year-old Arunachal student killed over his northeastern identity. January 2014, again in Kotla Mubarakpur of the national capital, 2 Manipur women assaulted by a group of men with racist abuses. Let me quickly now come to Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma.
Now, let me answer this. You put this first into Congress.
Okay.
So I have to answer it. So are you giving these incidents to tell BJP this is okay? Are you telling
Not
this
at
on
all.
the national channel?
Not at all. Let
to
me
remind
take
all
my
of us
question
that
with
this has
Sanju
been
Verma
happening?
first. Nishant Anand, so you can't say that this is only peculiar to
You
a
cannot
BJP
compare it.
government.
Don't compare what
No,
has
but
happened today.
I am
We
bound
cannot
by
fix
duty
the-
to fact check you over here.
Correct.
Sanju
But
Verma,
the
let me
problem
quickly
is it
bring
is
you.
happening today.
BJP spokespersons have been talking about the killing of the Odisha migrant worker in Tamil Nadu. Do you think both the incidents can be compared?
There's a bit of a glitch, Akanksha. Am I loud and clear? Am I audible?
Yes, it's a little sort of disturbed, but you can go ahead. Yes, please.
Okay. So the limited point I want to make is this. It's very rich of the Congress spokespersons to come and wax eloquent about how BJP is normalizing hate. But I want to expose the rabid hypocrisy of the Congress party, particularly their so-called Prime Minister in waiting, Rahul Gandhi.
Audio
He
नहीं आ
has
रही
ex-
There's some problem with the audio.
No, absolutely fine now. Please go ahead.
Yes. Rahul Gandhi has posted on X yesterday at 12:43 p.m. where he says hate doesn't appear overnight for years now. It is being fed daily, especially to our youth through toxic content and irresponsible narratives. And it is being normalized by the hate spewing leadership of the ruling BJP. So my first point is, who has politicized the horrific death of Anjel Chakma? It is Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party, no less. He has not even bothered to shed crocodile tears and, show some basic sympathy and empathy for the family members of Anjel Chakma. My deepest condolences to them and to the cousin of Anjel Chakma, who's right here on your show. The second point I want to make is this. It's fine to talk about hate speech, but I think you encourage hate when you rabidly propagate stereotypes about a particular community. And do you recall what Sam Pitroda, the head of Indian Overseas Congress, said last year? He said people from North India look like whites, people from South India look like blacks, people from Western India look like Arabs, and people from Eastern India and Northeast India look like Chinese. Basically, Sam Pitroda was calling people from Assam, Mizoram, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland as Chinkies. And did I see Rahul Gandhi condemning the stereotype by Sam Pitroda? No. Did I see Priyanka Vadra taking a stand against it? No. जब अपनी पार्टी को कंडेम करने की बारी आती है, राहुल गांधी एंड प्रियंका वड्रा के मुंह में दही जम जाता है. The brother-sister duo are practicing
Whose government
hypocrisy.
is there in
All
Uttarakhand?
right.
Whose
I'm going to give
government
you
is in
time.
India
No,
doing-
Nishant, Sanju did not speak over you. I'm going to give you time.
But are
Yes.
you giving the chance for them to
I
blame
will.
Congress?
Of course, I will. I'll give you time to come up with a rebuttal. Sanju Verma, please finish your point.
Yes. My final point is this. I have been on debates where I have been asked, did you support the lynching of Muhammad Akhlaq in 2015? I said no. Cutting through party ideology, no sane Indian, irrespective of political differences, will, endorse something like a hate crime which happened to Muhammad Akhlaq. But my problem is when the same Congress party which opposed the CAA for the longest time today starts talking about Bangladeshi Hindus like Deepu Das, Bajendra Bishwas and Amrit Mandal who were lynched by radical Islamist crowd. If you want to stop hate crimes, the charity begins at home by first
Okay.
condemning radical
Okay.
Islamic terror.
Okay, now I want to quickly give Nishant time, but Nishant, while you respond to Sanju, also keep in mind that not a single word of condemnation has come from your party with regards to what happened with the Odisha migrant worker, where these Tamil youth made an Instagram reel of the killing, brandishing a machete with a Tamil song in the background.
Okay, so first of all, we condemn everything which is happening on these, in this way. First of all, and secondly, we need to understand Sanju Verma is bringing in Sam Petroda, Rahul Gandhi. She's not taking and accepting the crime which has happened. See, we need to understand India is built on unity, dignity, and respect.
But do you
not
approve
fear.
of what Sam
Let me
Petroda
complete.
said?
No, they are interpreting in a wrong way. They are saying there are a lot of people living in India with different nationality, different looks. So we need to respect everybody. That is what I'm trying to say. India is built on unity, dignity, and respect, not fear and abuse. We are not here to blame BJP only. We are telling whose government is there. We are telling for 12 days the FIR was not registered. If we look away, then fellow Indians are targeted. We risk becoming a dead society. If this hatred continues under political protection, this fire will burn everything. BJP needs to accept and answer why the complaint was not registered. BJP needs to tell why from the 11 years the government is there. Why they are not able to fix this problem, and this is what they need to answer.
Okay,
It is
okay,
not the
Sanju.
right time to
Sanju,
tell-
also keep in mind that it was a Bisbarua committee which has in fact recommended that racial discrimination be openly called out under the BNS, amendments be brought in. Where is the government lacking right now? The question on everyone's mind is, why are the cops so hesitant in filing an FIR, something as basic as that?
You know, Akanksha, let me make this very, very categorically clear that Pushkar Singh Dhami has said that 5 people have been arrested, 2 have been sent to a juvenile facility, and there are 2 more who will be not only arrested, but the most stringent sections of BNS, which now applies to many hate crimes also.
But the main
and
accused
part
is
of
still at
comprehensive-
large now, Sanju.
Can I just finish, Akanksha? You know, I want to come back to one important thing. I think the Uttarakhand government will take necessary action. The Tripura government will also ensure that Anjel Chakma's family is given proper protection to ensure that, they are not hassled, given that this is a crime which has now become national news. Their family deserves all the support and safety and security that they require, and that is mandatory on the part of the Tripura government, which they will do. But I want to come back to one thing again and again. I am willing to admit that if there is a lapse on the part of a BJP state government, hold them accountable. What I cannot fathom, for heaven's sake, is the fact when a Congress spokesperson sits here and shamelessly, very audaciously says, Sam Petroda's statement is being misinterpreted by the BJP. No, sir, there is no misinterpretation. Sam Petroda is a repeat and a habitual offender, and he peddles hate. Very few days back, he said, I feel safer in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal rather than in India. What exactly was the implication of that very randomly, brazenly irresponsible statement by somebody who was actually Rahul Gandhi's father, Rajiv Gandhi's mentor? He's not some random Congress leader whose statement you can dismiss.
I'm going to come to you, Nishant. I am going to come to you, Nishant.
I'll take 5 seconds. I'll take 5 seconds.
No, then he said, she said, no. Sharam ki baat hai to yahan Sanekar, let us have Sanekar do the talking. No, Nishant.
थोड़ी शर्म बची है तो कर लो संजू वर्मा तुम्हारे
No, please, let's not get personal over here. Let's not get personal. Nishant, I will not tolerate.
The main accused ample time to escape.
Nishant, I will not tolerate any kind of personal shaming over here. Calm down.
Calm. You interrupting me.
No, calm down. Calm down.
You interrupting me.
No, I'm
you
not
cannot tell me to
interrupting.
calm down. You cannot interrupt me.
Calm down.
If she is putting a finger on my leader, my party leader,
a leader
you are
who
not
has
interrupting
resorted
her.
to racist commentary.
Do not interrupt her. Did you ask Pradhan Mantri Modi why did the state government is quiet? Why they are not able to catch the
Nishant.
और बीजेपी को यहाँ पर नैतिकता का भाषण देने बैठे हुआ
मेन अक्यूज जो है वो भाग चुका है 12 दिन तक तुमने FIR रजिस्टर नहीं करी शर्म आती है तुम्हारी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को आज तक तुमने क्रेडिबिलिटी ली
Okay. Nishant, And
quite.
Sanju,
I'm
Nishant
quite.
and Sanju, let's respect a man who's grieving right now, and that is Sanekar, who continues to be on the broadcast with us. I want to take
My
a couple
apologies.
of questions. Yes, our apologies to you, Sanekar. But Sanekar, आपके परिवारजनों ने कहा है, एंजल के मामा ने तक कहा है कि वो सीबीआई की प्रोब डिमांड कर रहे हैं. ऐसा क्यों चाहिए आपको? आपको लगता है पुलिस ने जस्टिस नहीं किया है अभी तक केस में?
कह सकते हैं मैम कि पहले जो 2 दिन लगे वो मैम पुलिस के वजह से ही उन लोग ने इनकार किया था. 2 दिन इसीलिए लगे क्योंकि लोकल पुलिस ने कंप्लेंट लेने से ही इनकार कर दिया. तो मैम अभी हम लोग किस पर भरोसा करें? लोकल पुलिस पे तो हम लोग भरोसा नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि एनी टाइम एट एनी मोमेंट कुछ भी सबूत मिटाया भी जा सकता है मैम. तो हम लोग मतलब एक न्यूट्रल जांच चाहते हैं. इसके वजह से ही ये मांगे सीबीआई की मांगे की गई है.
जी सानेकर, यूनियन मिनिस्टर किरण रिजिजू जी का कहना है कि इसको सिर्फ एक रेसिज्म के एंगल से नहीं देखना चाहिए. ये जो हत्या हुई है ये बहुत ही निर्मम थी, लेकिन ये एक माइंडसेट की प्रॉब्लम भी है. दूसरी ओर राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि एक हेट क्राइम है. आपको क्या कहना है इस पर?
मैम स्टेट के बाहर मैं भी पढ़ाई किया हूँ, तो मैम हम लोग अगर दूसरे स्टेट पे जा रहे तो ठीक है. ये तो मैं मान लिया था मैं मेरे वक्त पे कि ठीक है, मैं इग्नोर कर दिया था. अगर उस वक्त मैं भी अगर आवाज उठाता शायद मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही हो सकता था. तो मैम अगर वही मेरा बात यही है कि अगर आपको ठीक है कुछ दोस्त के भी झगड़ा हो के अगर कुछ हो रहा है, ऐसे सिचुएशन हो रहा है तो वो तो मैम रेसिज्म नहीं बोल सकते.
बहुत ही दुख की बात है कि चुप्पी साधे रहे हैं, तब तक आप बचे रहेंगे. पर अब मेरा आखिरी सवाल यही है कि आपको लगता है कि आप लोगों के साथ जो रेसिज्म हो रहा है, खासतौर से चकमा ट्राइब की खुद की एक हिस्ट्री रही है. आप लोग चिटागोंग हिल ट्रैक्ट से बांग्लादेश के पार्टीशन के समय यहाँ आए. आप लोगों ने बहुत स्ट्रगल देखा है. आपको लगता है कि वहाँ भी आप भागने के बावजूद उस स्ट्रगल से आज भी नहीं बच पाए हैं?
क्योंकि मैम बेसिकली हम लोग जो है चकमा का हिस्ट्री जितना भी आप जानते हैं तो पहले से ही पता होगा कि हम लोग तो बांग्लादेश में भी हैं अभी. सिंस 1962 में हम लोग का जो पॉपुलेशन है वो इंडिया में आया हुआ है पहले. वो तो फिर काप्ताई लेक की वजह से. तो हम लोग को तब से ही मतलब ऐसा है कि हम लोग एज एन इंडियन मानते नहीं है. अरुणाचल में भी चकमा के ऊपर ही मतलब थोड़ा सा वो है कि चकमा हजोंग गो बैक. मैम तो मेरा कहना ये है कि हम लोग जाए तो जाए कहाँ? अगर कोई भी अपना नहीं रहे हैं, इंडियन गवर्नमेंट अपना नहीं रहे हैं, तो पहले से तो तब तो पार्टीशन के पहले था 1962, बिफोर द पार्टीशन ऑफ बांग्लादेश एंड फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान. तो तब से अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो हम लोग अभी भी तो उस सिचुएशन में है कि कोई अपना नहीं रहे. और नॉट जस्ट चकमा, इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट हम लोग का जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोग हैं, वो तो पूरा इंडिया ही नहीं मानता है कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोग इंडिया के हैं.
You know,
I hang my head in shame today, Sanju Verma. जाएं तो जाएं कहाँ? This will stay with me. This will stay with me.
I want to assure and I want to, promise here on national television, very responsibility, with great responsibility, and with folded hands, we will do whatever we can to ensure justice for Anjel Chakma. His, death will not go in vain. These are not simply platitudes that I'm, sharing on national television. I mean it very responsibly. But I just want to say one thing. I hate to politicize this, but this is a political debate in a sense. So I want to just say one thing. Can I please?
Nishant, please, let's be respectful. This is not a topic where we can afford to show disrespect to anyone right now. I will come to you. This is my assurance to you. I will give you time to think. Yes, Sanju, please finish your point.
You in September this year, do you remember there was a post on X by the Kerala Congress handle which says both Bihar and BDs begin with B. So BDs are not a sin anymore. That tweet, that post was deleted after huge outrage. And do you remember, barely 18 months back, Maria Alam Khan, the niece of Salman Khurshid, who was at one time the External Affairs Minister and is one of the senior most Congress leaders, she spoke of vote jihad targeting the BJP. And let me tell you that there's a Karnataka leader from the Congress who said at the height of the hijab controversy, we will cut BJP leaders into pieces if they dispute the wearing of hijab in schools and colleges. So let's be very clear. Hate speech has come from different quarters, but for the Congress to try and behave as if, it's all holier than thou at their end, I think that is a whole lot of balderdash. And my final point is this. I will speak out against Anjel Chakma's perpetrators. I will speak out against Mohammad Akhlaq's perpetrators, but I have not seen people speak out against the perpetrators of Prashant Pujari, Praveen Pujari, Dr. Pankaj Narang, Rupesh Pandya, Rahul Rajput, Rinku Sharma, Nikita Tomar.
Sanju, I need to give closing thoughts to Nishant Anand. Nishant Anand, law and order is also a state issue, whether it happens in Karnataka or it happens in Uttarakhand. The implementation, say, of acts like the NCST Act, which very much stay, but nowhere are they invoked by the police. I'm sure you will agree that whether it's a district level, subdivisional level, law and order is a state issue as well.
Please give me free flow for 30 seconds.
Sure.
Even after the Prime Minister speaks of an act of ease policy, his party's government in Uttarakhand failed to act in time. And this delay is not negligence, it is institutional empathy enabled by power. BJP and BJP's spokesperson should apologize and answer.
I'll come to you, Sanju. I'll come to you.
See, hate, I will say again, hate doesn't appear overnight. It is fed daily, especially to young minds through toxic content, dog whistle politics, and irresponsible narratives. And it is normalized by hate's spewing leadership of the ruling BJP. This is what I will say.
Okay, Sanju, a lot of infrastructural development has been done for Northeast. If we talk about the peace efforts, the Bodo Peace Accord, there's the 2024 agreement with the NLFT, ATTF in Tripura, which ended the 35-year-old conflict, reduction in AFSPA. But where is the change in mindset? Quick 30 seconds, Sanju Verma.
Akanksha, I'm so glad you spoke about some of those development initiatives. I just want to say, the Assam Accord of 1985 was signed under the aegis of Rajiv Gandhi to give rights to indigenous Assamese. Nothing happened. Then the Mizo Accord was signed in 1988, again under Rajiv Gandhi. Nothing happened. You had the Tripura Accord, which was signed in 1988 under the aegis of the Congress party. Nothing happened. The Bodoland Accord was signed in 2004. Nothing happened. Be it giving indigenous rights to Assamese people from Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, what have you, or giving the people from the Bodoland tribal councils their rights to live as indigenous people.
Okay.
That has been done by the Modi government. Don't forget.
Let's ensure that this is a collective mindset change. I beg and plead of all of you today that we need to collectively shake up our conscience and perhaps also ensure that the existing laws are invoked at the right time. Many thanks to you, Sanju Verma, Nishant Anand, and of course, Sanekar. We stand in solidarity with you. May you and your family members receive justice. With that, shifting focus over to Bangladesh, another Hindu has been killed in the country. Violence has broken out at a clothing factory where Noban Mia used a shotgun to kill 42-year-old Hindu Bijendra Biswas, who was in a paramilitary group protects villages. The killing of Bijendra Biswas comes days after Deepu Das and Amrit Mandal's deaths. Remember, Deepu Das was lynched on charges of alleged blasphemy, and Amrit Mandal was beaten to death after allegations that he had gone to a villager's home to demand extortion money. Pallavi Ghosh joins me live from Dhaka as she continues to report from ground zero. Pallavi, what is the sense that you're getting? Is the fear palpable before I go on to other aspects today?
Well, the fear is palpable, especially as far as the minority community over here is concerned. And it's not just the Hindus, actually, Akanksha, it's also the Christians very much here. Because what has happened is just day before, there was a statement which was given by the advisor's office and which essentially criticized India for pushing a narrative which seemed to be suggesting that, the minorities were being targeting, whereas the government or the administration over here, Akanksha, was trying to make the larger point that when Mondal was killed, it was done so because he was extortionist and he was a criminal. Now, despite all these kind of reassurances coming in, some curt voice being sounded by our MEA, things doesn't seem to have changed on the ground as well. Yet another Hindu has been targeted. He has been killed. The accused certainly has been arrested. But what I also got a sense earlier, Akanksha, when I traveled to the BNP office over here, which clearly is in mourning for the janaza of Khalida Zia, which is going to take place tomorrow, is that they too are going to be under pressure. So they're in a catch-22 situation. On one hand, very clearly, the kind of radicalization of the Bangladeshi politics, that's going to have an impact. And on the other hand, certainly is going to be this world pressure that, you cannot be seen as propelling a strategy or a policy which is targeting the minorities.
BNP leaders have said that Khalida Zia would always be remembered as the queen of democracy. And now with her demise, do you also see this as a symbolic end to a democratic Bangladesh? What are your hopes from, say, Tariq Rahman succeeding, given that polls are indicating that the popularity is entirely commanded by the BNP at the moment?
Well, I think you also understand Khalida Zia's beginning of a political career also came on the edifice of the assassination of her husband, Ziaur Rahman. And from a housewife being transformed into first woman president of India, that's been quite a journey for her. But she was not really a very good friend of India. She, of course, was also known, her tenure was also known, which was mired by a lot of corruption allegations against her, but also which believed in the radicalization. In fact, she was also one of the first ones to tie up with the Jamaat. And with the kind of free run the Jamaat is having in many parts of Bangladesh, when you go into interiors like Cox's Bazar, when you go to Khulna, Nanman Singh, where those murders have taken place, it just goes on to show that just to be in power, possibly to have that kind of resonance on the ground, the Jamaat, the NCP, which is the student wing, and also plus, of course, the BNP, I think Tariq Ziaur Rahman will also be expected to toe that radical line. That's his political compulsion. And this sense is what could unnerve India. But I think very quickly, before I come back to your Akanksha, it's a very strong message which S. Jaishankar's visit is going to be made here tomorrow when he's going to be coming for the janaza.
Absolutely. And we'll have to, in fact, see how that funeral actually proceeds. And there's a strong messaging now that New Delhi is sending its External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. We will keep coming back to you, Pallavi. Till then, stay safe. And with that, as Pallavi was highlighting the demise and the passing of Bangladesh's former Prime Minister, Begum Khalida Zia, a towering political figure whose arch rivalry with former Premier Sheikh Hasina shaped the country's politics for decades, died today at the age of 80 as the country's first woman prime minister. She played a pivotal role in restoring democracy after years of military rule and remained a dominant force in national life. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar will represent the government and people of India at the funeral of Khalida Zia on 31st of December. That's tomorrow. But what does this mean for Bangladesh, its politics, and more importantly, India? We delve a little deeper. Bangladesh's first female prime minister, a central figure in the country's politics for decades. Begum Khalida Zia passed away at the age of 80 in Dhaka after battling months of liver and kidney problems. She was seen as a leading contender in next year's general election. Zia was treated for infections in her heart and lungs. She was also suffering from pneumonia. Khalida Zia was born in 1945 in Jalpaiguri, West Bengal, then part of British India. Her family moved to Dinajpur, then East Bengal, now Bangladesh, after the partition in 1947. She was married at 15 to a young army officer, Ziaur Rahman, a man who rebelled against Pakistani forces during the 1971 Liberation War. He was assassinated in 1981. That's when Khalida Zia broke through the power ranks and entered politics to lead his party, the BNP. Until then, Khalida Zia had kept a low public profile. As Bangladesh's first woman Prime Minister, she served full 2 terms a decade apart, from 1991 to 1996 and 2001 to 2006, and was chairperson of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. She is also credited with the replacement of the country's presidential system with a parliamentary one. This via a referendum in 1991, bringing administrative power to rest with the Prime Minister. Interestingly, Zia was one of the 2 women to dominate Bangladeshi politics over the past 3 decades. The other is Awami League boss Sheikh Hasina, now in exile in India after her ouster in August 2024. But both differed in their approach to foreign policy, specifically when it came to the India question. In fact, Indian Prime Minister Modi took to X to pay his condolences, recalling his warm meeting with Khalida Zia in 2015. Unlike Sheikh Hasina, Begum Khalida Zia maintained a cautious approach towards India, underscoring Bangladeshi sovereignty. Case in point was her sustained opposition to overland transit and connectivity links with India's northeastern states. She also argued Indian trucks' toll-free use of Bangladeshi roads. She compared it to slavery. The 1972 Indo-Bangladesh Friendship Treaty was heavily criticized by Zia as well. This despite being strategically important from a military perspective. Begum Zia had argued that the treaty had shackled Bangladesh. In fact, she linked transit permits to unresolved security and water concerns, a stance seen as converting demands for regional integration to limit Indian influence in Bangladesh. There was also criticism of India's Farakka barrage that has been operational since 1975 to divert water from the Ganges into the Hooghly. Zia had argued that the barrage deprived Bangladesh of Ganges water. And in 2007, she accused India of having deliberately opened sluice gates to worsen floods in her country. The confrontational stance extended beyond transit and infrastructure. In fact, in 2002, she actively pursued defense deals with China while snubbing India. A deal signed that year made Beijing Dhaka's primary supplier for tanks, frigates, and other military equipment. The narrative again was to guard against Indian overreach. But her anti-India stance was not without pragmatic considerations. The 1992 Teen Bigha corridor lease signed during her tenure is an example. The only corridor that gives access to Dhaka to Dahagram, Angarpota, an enclave inside Indian territory. Zia's pragmatism was also evident in 2006 when she visited India as Prime Minister. She signed a revised trade agreement and a new anti-drug smuggling accord with India. However, Zia's relationship with India evolved post-2012. This after a visit to Delhi to meet then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. What grabbed the headlines during that visit was a pledge that future BNP governments would act against terrorist groups operating from Bangladeshi soil to attack Indian targets. It was a visit at India's invitation and was seen as a strategic pivot in BNP policies prior to 2014. Interestingly, that outreach extended to meetings with Prime Minister Narendra Modi post-2014. In fact, Prime Minister Modi met Zia in Dhaka in June 2015 during his visit to Bangladesh too. That was an unusual meeting, not just because Zia was then leader of the opposition, but also because it underlined the BNP's intent. One that meant to engage with Delhi to broaden ties with Dhaka beyond Sheikh Hasina. Not surprising why the Indian Prime Minister has underscored Begum Khalida Zia's contributions in shaping the development of Bangladesh and the India-Bangladesh relations. She is survived by her elder son Tariq Rahman, who, remember, returned from a 17-year exile in London this month. Rahman is widely regarded as the likely successor to lead the BNP. A day after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with US President Donald Trump, Russia claimed that Ukraine attempted a drone strike on Vladimir Putin's residence. The allegation was dramatic and the implication was that Ukraine crossed a personal red line. Ukraine's response was swift and categorical, a flat-out denial. Kiev has dismissed the accusation as mere fabrication. This comes at a time of intense negotiations to end the almost 4-year-long Ukraine war. India, too, is watching closely. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, expressed deep concern over reports of Ukraine allegedly attacking the residence of Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's in fact urged the two countries to focus on a diplomatic solution to end the ongoing war. So will the peace talks take a hit? Before we get into that, here's a report.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Monday that Ukraine had tried to attack President Vladimir Putin's residence in northern Russia, an accusation Ukraine said is a lie. Without presenting any evidence, Lavrov said Ukraine attacked the presidential residence in the Novgorod region with 91 long-range drones, which he said were all destroyed by Russian air defenses. Lavrov said no one was injured and there was no damage. He said that targets had already been selected for retaliatory strikes by Russia's armed forces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky denied that his country had planned such an attack. Zelensky said that Moscow was preparing the ground to strike government buildings in Kyiv and that the claim was an attempt to undermine peace talks. The angry exchanges, including a statement by Russia that it was reviewing its stance in negotiations in response to the attack, dealt a new blow to prospects for peace in Ukraine. Russia's accusation comes a day after U.S. President Donald Trump met Zelensky in Florida.
Well, thank you very much. We had a terrific meeting.
Trump said they were closer to an agreement to end the war, although territorial issues remained.
That's a very tough issue, but one that I think will get resolved. Yep.
Zelensky said on Monday 2 main issues in a 20-point peace proposal remained to be resolved. Control of Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station, which is in Russian hands, and the fate of the Donbas area. Russian forces are battling to take Donbas, a region internationally recognized as Ukraine's sovereign territory. Kyiv wants fighting halted along current front lines.
All right, let's try and get in perspective. And for that, I'm joined in by my guests. I'm joined in by Tatiana Kukareva, who's a senior Russian journalist, also joined in by Tara Karta, who's a former director at NSCS. Many thanks to you, ladies, for joining in. Tatiana, to begin with, Ukraine's president has already denied Russia's claims, calling them fabricated. In fact, he has said that Russia is looking for reasons to continue its attacks on Ukraine and that it saw progress towards a ceasefire as a failure. I'd like your response.
Well, Akanksha, and thank you for having me. Of course, he did deny it, and not only did he say that it's, Russia's preparing ground. He actually claimed that Russia's preparing ground to attack government buildings in Kiev, which I'm sure you understand that Russia has had every means to attack those buildings within these almost 4 years, and hasn't done that. They always do deny big provocations. In the meantime, we always know that these provocations are going to happen around big holidays. As you know, Russians are predominantly Orthodox Christians, so we don't celebrate Catholic Christmas. We also come off of the heritage of Soviet Union, so the New Year is one of the most important holidays for us in this country. So the whole country has been waiting for provocations and attacks around New Year. In the meantime, if we look closer at the negotiations and the press conference that you just showed in the report there was no, happy announcement by Donald Trump of any breakthrough. It was very reserved. You know that he doesn't hold back when there's something, when he does strike some sort of a deal. He's very emotional when some breakthroughs arrive. So he was very reserved. He did say that, yes, we might be closer. That's basically Trump for we haven't really moved.
That's why I want to bring in Tara on that note. Tara, US President has in fact also shared his relief that he did not give any tomahawks to Ukraine. Given his anger, where does it leave the US role currently as far as peace mediation is concerned?
I think the tomahawk, deal has long since gone past, given the huge range of drones which Ukraine has managed to get. We are talking of upwards of 1,600 kilometers. So in terms of capability, they are capable of doing this. They've hit far further targets. They've done this against oil refineries in Russia. But in terms of what you asked about what is the Trump's reaction going to be, he said, I'm very angry about this. And this is sad because if indeed, things were coming mildly to some kind of a conclusion, This would have been the best for both parties, right? This is a terrible war. But there's also one more issue which I'd like to point out is that Zelensky himself and his aides have been under investigation for corruption last month. There was this huge corruption scandal. So he is not, an end of the war would mean the end of Zelensky, put it that way. So I mean, that's putting it a little simplistically, but he is in trouble. I think the last poll for him in favor of him has dropped even further.
Okay.
So he has his issues. So, and he's also got $105 billion aid package from the EU. This was just about a week ago. So now he's sitting pretty.
Okay. Tatiana, would you like to weigh in on a very critical point just now raised by Tara over there? Because Zelensky has said that Ukraine does not take steps that can undermine diplomacy. To the contrary, Russia always takes such steps. This is one of the many differences between us.
Oh, well, completely agreed with Tara on the point where Vladimir Zelensky does not want this war to end. That is one thing that is very, very sure, that we can be completely confident that the end of this war will mean the beginning of investigations, not only in this one particular huge corruption scandal with the US, also the recent allegations and revelations about the EU funds. There's a lot there that he does not. I mean, let's face it, wars are not pretty. And there's also, but unfortunately for him, his media team does not update narratives. And this whole situation of saying, oh, look, Russia creates provocations, Russia is trying to undermine the diplomatic process, where in fact the diplomatic process between Moscow and Washington is ongoing. Despite the huge rhetoric, despite Donald Trump saying, Vladimir Putin has lost his mind one day, anything else, at the end of the day, there is a situation which we're facing where Vladimir Zelensky is now looking like the boy who cried aggression, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I believe his team just needs to update their narratives if they want to come out in any good light anywhere in the nearest future.
I'd like to weigh in on that a bit more, but before I do that, I want to quickly bring in Tara on Ukraine's position. In fact, Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha has said that Russia still has not provided any plausible evidence to back the claims. She's also, in fact, expressed disappointment at India, Emirati and Pakistani sides expressing concerns regarding this attack, also questioning why were these countries silent when a real Russian missile struck the Ukrainian government building on September 7th this year.
I think that's fair enough. I mean, one should, after all, sympathize with loss of life anywhere, whether it's Russia or Ukraine. But in this case, I don't honestly see why the Russians would lie about this. I mean, there is no credible reason why he would. And as I understand, the attacks were deflected. There are a bunch of those Pantsir missiles positioned around the palace. In fact, that itself is a bit of a scandal because there's a lot of them were pulled out from St. Petersburg and brought here. But nonetheless, the palace is secured. So I mean, if I look at it, I'm saying who has the greater motivation to do this? Zelensky does. I mean, it's a terrible thing. I will never back this war because the Ukrainian people have really suffered. And I think it would be great if President Putin took the long view and tried to end this because, enough.
Tatiana, 91 UAVs, all intercepted. It is indeed a major, massive security lapse. At the same time, Ukraine raising claims that there's no evidence to back this. Where does this place the Kremlin at the moment?
Well, first of all, Akanksha, it would have been a massive security lapse if there had been any damage. If the drones were downed, that basically they were downed. We've seen this not just here, we've seen this in other conflict areas in the world. Unless there's a direct hit, we can't really talk about security lapse. I mean, the Ukrainian side has already shown that they're very capable of such provocations. You remember the outrageous attack in Siberia, where they actually targeted civilian targets, but that was way further than Novgorod region, and massive attacks as well. They like them. They like big declarations of, would-be force, including the incursion into the Kursk region. That was very much the same in nature. It's kind of this big show of power that is very questionable in terms of long-term perspective within this conflict, because obviously you cannot really intimidate the Russian president by attacking his residence. But why would you, the implications for the Ukrainian side by crossing this line are just crazy. It's just, there is very little analysis in terms of the long-term repercussions within these actions.
Tara, how do you respond to Prime Minister Modi's push for diplomacy? Is there still hope? He's in fact maintained to both the parties that the solution doesn't lie on the battlefield. He's again reiterated that call. Your thoughts, do you think India is in a position to play a role?
I think it is. Because for one, it's in our interest that the war should end. For multiple reasons, which I won't go into here. We need this war to end. Number two, the President Putin and Prime Minister Modi have a very strong bond. There is a lot of trust between these two countries, and it's been there for decades. So when Modi says, "Look, please end this," there is some amount of feeling that India is doing this because we want Russia to go back to what it was, to get its act together. So that way, yes. And they have, I think, virtually admitted that there has been some mediation attempts. And of course, there is President Trump levying tariff after tariff and saying you're benefiting from the Russian war. So that's another problem. But I do believe the Prime Minister means it when he says, end this war. This is an era for peace, because my country's security depends on a stable world. We are about the economy. If the economy doesn't take off, we are in trouble. So we need the economy to move forward, for which you need some amount of stability. I'm putting it very simply, but that's about where it is.
Tatiana, everything that's currently happening, how much of it is currently associated with, say, the Russian occupation of Donbass, majority of which is currently being controlled by Russia, and of course the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant? Do you think both of these territorial issues have currently placed Ukraine on shaky grounds, or rather the president's position on shaky grounds?
Sorry, Akansha, I will ask you to rephrase that question. I'm not quite sure I understand it.
Donbass, as far as Donbass is concerned, or say even the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, both have become a significant bone of contention for the negotiations, for the peace negotiation currently. Do you think the Russian occupation of Donbass particularly has weakened the Ukrainian president's position as far as the ongoing negotiations are concerned?
Oh, I think that's a very... I wouldn't put it this way in any way. I think that everything that's happened on the ground, first of all, there was, from the very beginning, Moscow was very clear about its objectives. The Donbass region was always a Russian-speaking region, and not only this, there's also the Kharkiv region that is also Russian-speaking predominantly. There's always the south, there's Odessa, that was always Russian-Jewish. I mean, if you went there, you wouldn't hear Ukrainian language. I've been there many times. I've been to a lot of places in eastern Ukraine, in southeastern Ukraine, that was never Ukrainian-speaking or Ukrainian-populated territory. So, to talk about occupation, I believe, is mislabeling of this whole concept, because again, we're forgetting about the 8 years of aggression by Kiev on this Russian-speaking population of its own country. But within these negotiations, again, the one thing that I believe to be absolutely true is that what we've seen with every single provocation of this scale is that, again, Volodymyr Zelensky is not ready for real negotiations.
Okay,
And
so I
he's
want to
using
give, I'm running short of time, just want to give quick closing thoughts to Tara as well. Tara, even if Zelensky doesn't seem to be very hopeful, or say if he's not willing to compromise here, do you think that the European allies to Ukraine can bring him in a position of alignment with at least the US president for now, given that he's also shared his hopes of inviting the European allies to Washington for a discussion in 2026?
As of now, no. I don't see that the Europeans are playing. I mean, I'm sure they have their own reasons, but they're not really pushing Zelensky towards what is inevitable, which is that he'll have to give away territory. But having said that, I do get the fact that it's not easy for a leader to sign on to an agreement saying, look, I'm giving this territory away to Russia. That's a very, very difficult thing. And in that count, at least I would sympathize with Zelensky. I just want to say one thing here, if you have the time.
Sure.
Is that we also have a relationship with Ukraine. I mean, it's not just Russia. We have a relationship with Ukraine because much of the defense industry which we had with Russia gifted virtually to Ukraine, it's all over there. So we have to play a very careful role with both.
All right, come 2026, we are hoping against hope that there's still hope for peace that remains. Many thanks to you, Tara and Tatiana, for joining in on this discussion here on Brass Tacks.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. Our top focus at this hour remains the inaction, the delay, and now the denial in the Anjel Chakma case in Uttarakhand. He was attacked, he was stabbed on the 9th of December. He succumbed to his injuries on the 25th. And all we have from the police of Uttarakhand is denial of all the claims that the family has so far made. In fact, the police has gone on to detail exactly what happened, and there is only justification that is coming in from the Dehradun police. Is this not a betrayal of Anjel Chakma in his death? Because the family has been alleging that the police did not file an FIR on time, to which what the cops had to say today was that it was the family who delayed filing the FIR in the first place, that the complaint wasn't filed until 24 hours after the actual incident had happened. They said that it was a heat of the moment crime really, and it wasn't such a big deal. That is what the SSP of Dehradun has gone on to say. Also insisting that there is no racist angle to the crime at all. The SSP of Dehradun has gone on to say, despite the complaint and the FIR mentioning caste slurs as part of the complaint that was filed by the family, the SSP goes on to say that this is not the case, that there is no racial angle to this entire crime at all. In fact, he's gone on to say that incidents are often exaggerated, which is why we had to do due diligence before we could actually file an FIR, which is the explanation that the police have now come forth with, why there was a delay of 3 long days before from the incident to the filing of the FIR, to which the police says that we had to do our due diligence because oftentimes these incidents are exaggerated. The FIR was only after a preliminary probe, which is as per procedure, is what the police has gone on to say. They've also said that the attack occurred in a busy market area. There were so many eyewitnesses that we had to corroborate exactly what happened. And if such a stabbing, indeed as serious as it was, had happened on the 9th of December, why is it that no shopkeeper, no eyewitness from that particular market reported this crime? That's a question that the police had to ask. Aman, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective on this. Aman, the government in Uttarakhand, the police in Uttarakhand, they're all under fire for the kind of questions that has been raised by Anjel Chakma's family. But all that we've gotten in return is justification of why they did what they did.
Well, absolutely, Poonam. I think the police is under a lot of pressure here to answer the tough questions in the Anjel Chakma case. Look at the chronology. 9th December evening around 7 p.m. is when this attack happens on Michael Chakma and his brother Anjel Chakma. The police is now saying that the family only reported this case after 24 hours on the 10th. Because they reported it on the 10th, they didn't make a call to the police control room or to the nearby police station. The police had to verify the complaint. Now, this is despite Anjel Chakma suffering stabbing injuries and being admitted to a hospital. But the police instead on the 10th till 12th for 2 days chooses to first verify the complaint by going to the spot, checking the CCTV, speaking to the people there who may have been present and trying to ascertain if actually what the complainant is saying has happened or not. This completely defies logic because in our criminal jurisprudence, as soon as a complaint is lodged and the victim has suffered grievous injuries, there should be an immediate FIR. Why was the police not lodging an FIR for 2 long days? Police SSP also they are clearly telling us that, though the family said caste slurs were made, they had to verify it because this was an allegation against unidentified people. So the SSP in a way is saying, how would unidentified people know what is the caste of these two victims? How could they have made it? Finally, we ascertained it on the 12th, so we lodged an FIR. But the first arrest, Poonam, only happens on the 14th. 2 days later, the 5 arrests have happened and those people who were arrested were immediately sent to jail. There is not even a proper police custody which is taken. So how much did the police actually interrogate these 5 accused is also a big question mark. Number 2, I feel the big question is where is the main accused, Yagyaraj Avasthi? He has been missing now for 21 days. The police say
Good evening, you're watching the Hard Facts with me, Poonam Burde. The battle for Bengal has entered a decisive phase. Union Home Minister Amit Shah launched a blistering attack on the TMC today, accusing the ruling party of corruption, of appeasement politics and of sheltering illegal infiltrators. Amit Shah has predicted a 2/3 majority for the BJP in the upcoming assembly elections. He also trained his guns on Mamata Banerjee's nephew, Abhishek Banerjee. He made the Bhaipo attack, saying that the right to make money in Bengal was only with him and not with the common man. Mamata Banerjee lashed out at the BJP in equal measure, saying that the BJP at the centre is spreading lies over Bengal's voters. She made an explosive remark as well. She asked if the BJP had carried out and orchestrated the Pahalgam attack or the Red Fort terror attack here in November. She targeted Prime Minister Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah. She passed a Duryodhan Dushasan jai by the two of them, claiming that both will be rejected by the people of Bengal once again this time around.
एक ऐसी मजबूत राष्ट्रीय ग्रिड बनाएंगे जो बंगाल से घुसपैठ को समाप्त कर देंगी। इंसान छोड़ दीजिए, परिंदा भी पैर नहीं मार पाए, इस प्रकार की एक मजबूत ग्रिड की रचना हम करेंगे और न केवल घुसपैठ रोकेंगे, सारे घुसपैठियों को चुन चुन कर भारत के बाहर निकालने का काम भी भारतीय जनता